In the Aneka container, it gives 3 different services. One is fabric service, foundation service, execution service, or we call it as application service also. Who is going to collect all this data? Node resolver is going to collect all data, and the data will be put it on the heartbeat services. Whenever any of the Aneka container request for, it should provide all the repository, all the required resources will be available in the Aneka repository. Hello everyone, welcome to the session of cloud computing. Myself Indu J, Faculty of Computer Science Department, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Today we are going to discuss in the cloud computing one of the cloud computing platform called Aneka, which is a unit 3 in your syllabus. Aneka is what? Aneka is one of the cloud computing platform. Let's see, we are going to discuss in this particular session. We are going to discuss about the Aneka cloud application platform, what is Aneka, and framework, how Aneka has been built, anatomy of Aneka container, building Aneka clouds, infrastructure organization, logical organization, private cloud deployment, public cloud deployment, and hybrid cloud deployment. By this you can get to know Aneka can implement all the types of cloud. Then apart from that, cloud programming and management, Aneka SDKs, software development toolkit, what all the toolkit provided by the Aneka, application model and the service model. In toolkit we have different models, that is SDK toolkit, we have application model as well as a service model. We'll discuss. Apart from SDK, it also provides the management tools. These are some of the management tools provided by the Aneka. Let's start with the definition. What is Aneka? Aneka is a software platform for developing a cloud computing application. What it is? Platform that provide the cloud computing application. It allows harnessing of disparate computing resources and managing them into the unique virtual domain. Harnessing means having togetherness, putting the different disparate communication resources, putting together and forming one unique virtual domain, that is Aneka cloud, in which applications are executed. Why we are doing so? To execute the application. According to the cloud computing reference model, it is a pure PaaS solution. PaaS means what? Platform as a service. As initially we have defined, it is a software platform. So it provides the platform as a service to develop the applications. Aneka is a cloud middleware product that can be deployed in a heterogeneous set of resources. Heterogeneous set of resources, we can combine the different type of resources to form one virtual domain. What all the heterogeneous resources? Network of computers, multi-core servers, data centers, virtual cloud infrastructure, and mixture of all these it can provide. What is Aneka framework? Framework overview. One of the Aneka's key advantage, it's extendable set of API associated with a different type of programming models such as task, threads, and MapReduce. What is MapReduce? MapReduce is a software tool that is used to provide the interaction and processing the large number of data set. Okay, so that is what MapReduce is. Used for developing a distributed application, integrating the new capabilities into the cloud. Why we are using Aneka? For having the distributed application and integrating the new capabilities into the cloud application. Supporting the different type of cloud deployment, as we have seen, it can support the public, private, and also the hybrid cloud. You can see in the figure what all the resources it will be having. It is a properties, it is a multi-core system, it uses a cluster computing, it uses a grid computing, it uses the cloud computing together. Okay, then apart from this, task what it can do? Threading, task, and MapReduce. These will be provided by the Aneka. That is a basic features that is provided in the Aneka. Next what we have is Aneka container. What is Aneka container? Aneka container which is installed on each node that constitute the basic building block of middleware. Okay, when we say it's a platform as a service, it acts as a middleware, right? We have three different type of services, that is infrastructure, platform and system, software as a service. So this acts as a middleware. What is Aneka container? Aneka container is attached or installed with each node to provide the building blocks of middleware system. The container features three different classes of services. In the Aneka container, it gives three different services. One is fabric service, foundation service, execution service, or we call it as application service also. These take care of infrastructure management, supporting services of all Aneka cloud and application management and execution respectively. What it will do? It will take care of resource management, application management and then the execution with respect of each layer. We'll discuss in the further slides. These services are made available to developers and the administrator by means of application management and development layer, which includes what we have include infrastructure and APIs for developing the cloud applications and management tools and interface for controlling the Aneka cloud. What we are doing using the container, we are providing the interface APIs and management tools for the controlling Aneka cloud. So this is a diagram where we have Aneka representation. Here you can see this is an infrastructure, that is nothing but your physical layer. Okay, above this physical layer we have a PAL, which is PAL, platform abstract layer. As we are dealing with the platform as service, we have a platform abstract layer. In this complete is a middleware. So this complete is a middleware, Aneka cloud middleware. How many services it is providing? It is providing fabric service, foundation service, execution service or application service. What is the role of fabric service? What is the role of PAL? PAL means platform abstraction layer. It provides the interface between the middle layer and with the infrastructure layer. It provides the interface or communication between infrastructure layer with the middle level layer. Here in the fabric service, we are going to discuss about features, that is high availability, resource provisioning, how the resource is provided, hardware proofing and membership. In foundation service, we just take care of foundation service, storage, resource reservation, billing and repository, licensing the account. These are all taken care by the foundation service. And in the application service, where we have seen the application like produce for processing the large number of data set, bag of task and other models will be to the application services. This middle layer and then the application layer, again they have a interface here. They provide the communication between the middle layer. In what application development and management layer will do? Using all this platform, the developed application will be deployed on the application layer. So here we have a management and the software toolkit, that is SDKs and management tools. Okay, this is all about Aneka architecture. Framework overview, same has been explained here. Aneka implementation is a service-oriented architecture. It is providing the service, so we call it a service-oriented architecture, and services are fundamental components of Aneka cloud. Service operates at the container level, where it is operating at the container. So Aneka container is a very important part of Aneka cloud, and except the PAL, they provide the developer, user and administrators with all the features offered by the framework. Except here, platform, application layer, all the other will be provided to the user, developer as well as the administrator. The service also constitute the extension and customization point of Aneka cloud. We move on to the some more points in framework. The infrastructure allows the integration of new services or replacement of the existing ones with the different implementation. We can add the new services, or whichever the service is there, we can replace the same services. The framework includes the following. This framework will be having these following features. What are the features? It provides the basic service for the infrastructure and the node management. Then it also take care of application execution. Then it also take care of accounting. Accounting means how many resources has been provided to the which user and how much the user has to pay for that particular resources. And then the system monitoring, how the users is using the resources, whether he is simply taking the resources, whether he is using the resources, everything will be taken care by framework. The existing servers can be extended and new features can be added to the cloud by dynamic plugging new ones into the container. We can use the existing services in the cloud computing, or if existing services is not enough for the user, he can opt for dynamic plugging in. He can opt for different resources that can be added to the Aneka container. Then Aneka service involves, what all the service involved by the Aneka? It provides the elasticity and scaling. What you mean by elasticity and scaling? Whenever we want, we can increase. Whenever we want, we can decrease. That is, it provides the elasticity of the resources. Runtime management. It will help to manage the platform or manage the application while it is running. Runtime management. Resource management. It will take care of how much resource and to the what time the resource has to be given to the user and or to the application. Application management. Once application is developed, it will take care of deployment also, where to be deployed, in which cloud to be deployed. Everything will be taken care by Aneka cloud. User management, that is accounting and billing. It also manages the users. How much resources user has been used and how long time user is using that particular resources and how much he has to pay for that. Everything will be taken care. And quality of services managed and billing. Billing will also be done by the Aneka servers itself. Then anatomy of Aneka container. What anatomy Aneka container will be having? The services installed in the Aneka container can be classified into three major categories, as we have discussed in the diagram. What are the three major categories? Fabric service, foundation service, and then the application service, or we call it as execution service. Execution service. The service stack resides on the top of platform abstraction layer, that is PAL, representing the interface to the underlying operating system and then the hardware. What is the job of PAL? That is giving the interface between the underlying infrastructure services and then the hardware. Next, we have in the anatomy from the ground up. From the ground up means what? From PAL. We are starting with the platform abstraction layer. What is the job of platform abstract layer? The core infrastructure of the system is based on .NET. Hence, it is based on the .NET. It is portable. As all of you know, .NET is a portable language. It can have its own bytecode. So, hence it is portable. Any platform featuring of ECMA 334. ECMA featuring that is ECMA 334 and 335. What is ECMA? It is a scripting language used to develop the application or the program. So, it is compatible with this environment of language. The common language interface. How .NET is portable using this common language interface, which is a specification introduced in the ECMA 334 standards, defines a common runtime environment for executing the program but does not provide any interface. It will not provide any interface, but it will provide the platform for executing the program. Next, we have the platform abstraction layer. PAL addresses heterogeneity and provides the containers with the uniform interface for accessing the relevant hardware and the operating system. It provides the uniform interface for accessing the infrastructure layer with the operating system as well as with the hardware resources which is required. PAL is responsible for detecting supported hosting environment. Which hosting environment is supported, that will be detected by whom? That will be detected by platform abstraction layer. Hence, it is called detection engine. Who is called detection engine? PAL is a detection engine. Right. Next, some other feature of PAL is PAL provides the following features: uniform and platform independent implementation interface for accessing the host platform. It provides the uniform, it don't segregate according to the priority. It provides the uniform platform for implementation and interface for accessing the hosting platform. And then uniform access to extend and additional properties of the hosting platform. As we said, Aneka works dynamically, dynamic resource, then it should have a extension of additional properties. It allows for extension of additional properties. The uniform and platform independent access to the remote node. It also provides the access to the remote node which is not the part of that particular application. You can access those nodes also. Uniform and the platform independent management interface. It also provides what? Management interface. So what is the features of PAL is, one is to providing the hosting platform and one is to allow accessing the extended additional properties, and the third one is providing the access to the remote node, and the fourth one is it providing the access for the management interface also. The PAL is a small layer of the software that compares a detection engine which automatically configure the container at the boot time. When PAL come into the picture, at the boot time of the container. The collectible data that are exposed by the PAL are as following. What all the data that is collected by the platform abstraction layer is given. Why they are giving it as a collectible data? Because it is a heterogeneous network what we are using, or heterogeneous resources what we are using. So what all it include? Number of cores, frequencies and the CPU usage. How many core, you have a I core, I5, I7 like that. How many number of cores it one used, and what is the frequency of that core, and how much the CPU use it is taking. Memory size and the usage. What is the memory size required to develop and deploy that application, and then the aggregate available disk space. Combining the different storage, it will provide the aggregate disk space, and the network address where we have to deploy network address, device attached to the nodes. What all the device attached to the nodes and what is the network address of that application is provided by PAL. Next, Fabric services. As we have told you, Aneka container have a 3 types of services: Fabrics, Foundation and Application. Let's have a detailed discussion on the Fabric services. The Fabric services define the lowest level of software stack representing the Aneka container. That will be at the lowest level. We have already seen in the diagram. That is Fabric level, Foundation level and Application level. This resides just below the PAL. Right, just above the PAL, Fabric services will be there. They provide the access to the resource provisioning subsystem and to the monitoring facility implemented in Aneka. What is the job of Fabric service? Providing the resource provisioning and monitoring facility that is implemented on Aneka. Resource provisioning services and monitoring services. What is the job? 2 job: Fabric services, resource monitoring and then service. Profiling and monitoring. What you meant by profiling? Profiling and monitoring services are most exposed through the example heartbeat monitoring and repository system. Heartbeat monitoring and repository system. Okay, let's see what is heartbeat monitoring. The heartbeat service periodically collects the dynamic performance information about the nodes and publishes this information in the membership services in the Aneka cloud. What it does, it will continuously monitoring the periodically, that is continuously monitoring and collecting the dynamic performance, and that will be put it where? On the membership services in the Aneka cloud. A specific component called node resolver is in charge of collecting these data and making them available to the heartbeat services. Who is going to collect all this data? Node resolver is going to collect all data, and the data will be put it on the heartbeat services. Reporting and monitoring services. The reporting services manage the store for maintaining data and making them accessible to the other services or external application. What is it is doing? After having all the data in the heartbeat services, then we have to report whether the heartbeat service is working properly or not, and monitoring system. For that, reporting services manage the store for monitored data, which is monitored data from here, and makes them accessible to the other services. That data, it will make it accessible to the different services. Then concurrently, several built-in services provides the information through this channel. Apart from that, some built-in functions what we are using in the Fabric services are membership catalog. It will have the membership catalog, like for example, you will be having the membership, 1 year membership, 3 months membership, 6 months, that is a membership catalog we have in Fabric services. The execution services, which all the application has to be executed for execution, and scheduling services, which service has to be scheduled at what time, that will be taken care by the Fabric services. Storage services, which application has to be where and which application is to be deployed where, that will be taken care by the storage services. Resource provisioning services, how much resource is needed for that particular application, running or execution of that application is taken care by the Fabric services. What is resource management? As we said, resource provisioning is one of the major feature in the Fabric services. So let us discuss resource management. What is resource management? Is another fundamental feature of Aneka cloud. It compares several tasks: resource membership, resource reservation, and resource provisioning. What does it will do? It will take the resource membership first, then resource reservation. For that particular resource, we have to reserve that resource, and then providing the resource, provisioning that resource. The Aneka provides a collection of services that are in charge of managing the resources. There are indexed services. Collection of services, what we have is, first one is index services or membership catalog, reservation service, and then the resource provisioning. First, you should have a catalog, membership catalog. Seeing this catalog, what you are going to reserve the resources. Once you have reserved the resources, then provide resources. Right. This how it's going to work. One is what? It's a catalog. Membership catalog, whether you want this resource for 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year, this is a catalog. Then after this catalog, you have to do what? Reserve those resources which you have opted from the catalog. Then after reserving that, it will provide you on a resource for the execution. Next, we have the membership catalog. What is there in the membership catalog? Aneka is Aneka's fundamental component of resource management. It keeps a track of basic node information for all the nodes that are connected or disconnected. How many nodes are there? It will keep the track of all the nodes. Indexing and categorizing the resources are the fundamental to the resource management. Indexing means how many resources are available and how much available. That is indexing, and categorizing is a fundamental management. And dynamic resource provisioning, whenever we need, we can access. Either though we have opted from the member catalog, we can access dynamically too. allows the integration and the management of the virtual resources leased from the infrastructure as a service provider into the Aneka cloud. As is come into picture here because we are taking the resources from the infrastructure layer, right? That's why as into come. What it is it allows the integration and management of virtual resources leased from the infrastructure. These services changes the structure of Aneka cloud by allowing it's a scale up and a scale down according to the different needs. According to the different need, we can scale up the resources or we can scale down the resources. Resource provisioning is a feature designed to support the quality of services. Why we have to go for indexing and resource provisioning? Because to maintain the quality of services. Next, what we have is foundation services. So far we are done with the fabric services. This is second layer in the Aneka platform. This is a second layer in the Aneka platform. Foundation services are related to the logical management of distributed system built on the top of infrastructure and provides the supporting services for execution of distributed application. Where it resides above the infrastructure and above the fabric services. What it will provide? It will provide the environment for logical execution, that is logical management of distributed system. Okay, these services cover what all the services provided by the foundation services. It covers storage management, accounting, billing and the resource reservation. These are all the services that is provided by the foundation service. Let's see one by one. The foundation service, storage management, how it's going to manage the store. It is managing the storage using the file system. File transfer management is a important aspect of any distributed system, even in the computing cloud. Okay, whenever we are doing anything, we have to manage the storage, how we are storing something into the cloud using the file transfer management in the forms of files. Aneka offer two different facilities for storage management. One is centralized file storage and then the distributed file storage. All of you know what is centralized and what is distributed. A centralized file storage used for the execution of component intensive application. Applications require powerful processor and do not have a high demands in terms of storage. Where we are using the centralized for storage, when we have more high demand and in terms of storage, large storage we want, we cannot distribute among, then we are using the centralized. To support the different protocols, the system introduces the file channel component. A file channel controls the file channel handler. There are different or many files that has been stored on the cloud. To manage those clouds, it will take the help of what? File channel controller. It will take the help of file channel controller, who is going to control or handle the streaming of files. Next, storage management. The file channel control constitute the server components of the channel where the files are stored and made available. Where the file are stored and how it is made available will be taken care by file channel controller. File channel abstraction is the ability to chain two different channels to move files by using the two different protocols. Here file channel abstraction. Abstraction means we are having two file channels, combining those two file channels and providing two different protocols. We are combining two different file channels using the two different file protocols to stream the files. Distributed files system for execution of data intervention applications. When we are using the distributed file, when we have data intensive application, we are using the distributed file. What do you mean by data intensive application? Application are characterized by the large data files, that is in terms of gigabytes. Okay, gigabytes or in terms of terabytes, and this processing power requires by task does not constitute the performance bottleneck. When we are doing this, there should not be any performance bottleneck. Bottleneck means it should not come and stuck at somewhere. So it has to be streamed very easily. So that is about distributed file system. Then we have some more components of the storage management. The reference model for the distributed file system is a Google file system. The example what they have used is a Google file system. Next, in the foundation services, we have accounting, billing and the resource pricing. That is a second service provided by the foundation service. Accounting services keep the track of the status of the application, in which status the application is there, what application you are developing, still it is in the base, in the middle level, or it is almost to be completed, or it is completed, you have to be deployed. That will be the status of your application. Collecting the information provides a detailed breakdown by distributed infrastructure. It will collect all the information of the application by breaking down the each detail. Okay, means how long the resource has been used, which resource has been used, which resource costing how much, every detail has to be in the accounting. Then accounting and billing session, how it will be done. Billing is another important feature of accounting. Aneka is a multi-tenant cloud programming platform. All of you know multi-tenant because different users are using at the same time, hence it is a multi-tenant programming. Aneka billing services provide a detailed information about each user, usage of resources within the associated cost. It will provide each detail, how much resources will cost and how much the user is using that resource. Difference between the accounting service and the reporting services. Accounting keep the track of information that is released to the application execution. Accounting will have what? Keep the track of all the information that is given to the execution of the application, such as distribution of jobs among the available resources and the timing of each job, how long the job has been executed and the associated cost. What is the cost associated for executing such job? That is a task of accounting. Resource reservation, what we are doing in the resource reservation? Resource reservation supports the execution of distributed application and allows the reserving resources for the exclusive use by the specific application. If you are reserving something, for example, if you are reserving the table in the hotel, it is specifically for you only. If you are directly going into the hotel and sitting in some random place, it's not the reservation. So, resource reservation supports what? Extensive execution or reserving the resource for executive use of specific application, only for the specific application. Resource reservation is built out of two different kinds of services. One is allocation service and one is execution service. Okay, resource reservation keeps the track of all the reserved time slots in the Aneka cloud and provide the unified view of the system. If you see the resource reservation slot, it will provide you the unified view. What all will be provided to the home. Here we have two types of service. One is application service and execution service. What is application service? It is installed on each node that features execution service and manages the database of the information regarding the allocated slot on the local node. Each node have its own resources, each container have its own node, each node have its own resources. How much allocation has been done for each node will be taken care by the allocation services. At the moment, the framework supports the three different implementation. What are the three different reservation types we have? Basic reservation, Libra reservation and relay reservation. What is basic reservation? Basic reservation is a capability to reserve the basic resources. That is called as basic reservation. Then comes with the Libra reservation. Libra reservation is the ability to price the nodes with their different hardware requirement. Where is a basic reservation is to providing the execution slot. Libra reservation is to give the pricing of each node for the hardware what it is used, and the relay reservation controls the logic on which the reservation has been done. Is it clear? Basic reservation is to provide the execution slot. Liberal reservation is to provide what? A particular cost, pricing for which hardware has been used, and relay reservation used to know the logic behind how the resource has been reserved. Then application services manage the execution of application. This is a third service provided by the Aneka middleware. Okay, application services manage the execution of application and constitute the layer that differently according to the specific programming need used for developing the distributed application on the top of Aneka. Any application depends on that application. We are going to take the resources. It is possible to identify two major type of activities that are common across the supported model. One is scheduling and one is execution. What is scheduling? Which application needs how much time? It is called as scheduling, and which time the application has to be executed. That is scheduling. Scheduling services are in charge of planning the execution of distributed application on the top of Aneka and governing the allocation of job. That is job allocation is nothing but scheduling. Common tasks that are performed by the scheduling are job to the node mapping, which job has to be done on which node, and rescheduling of failed job. While executing, something come across interface and exceptions will come, then it has to be failed job. That failed job has to be rescheduled. And job status monitoring, what is the current status of the job, whether it is in the ready queue or executing queue or it is in a terminated state, that has to be monitored. And the application status monitor, each application is divided into sub jobs, right? After completing a job status, then it has to check with the application status. Next, scheduling. Aneka does not provide the centralized scheduling engine, it will provide the distributed scheduling. Different scheduling engines, different models given great freedom to implement the scheduling and the resource allocation strategy. Aneka Foundation Service provide the different information to avoid these cases. It is possible to enforce that only one job per program model is to run each node. One job per program and per node, that is been scheduled by the scheduling criteria. And then execution criteria. Execution services control the execution of single job that compose the application. What scheduling? Scheduling will take care of number of job, which time the job has to be executed. Execution, it concentrate on the single job, whether the execution is running properly or not. They are in charge of setting up the runtime environment, hosting the execution for the job. Runtime environment means it has to check whether all the resource required for executing such jobs is available or not. Once it is available, it will start executing. That is runtime environment. Currently, there are several supported models. What all the execution models supported by the Aneka? Task model, thread model, map read model, and parameter swipe model. Job is divided based on the task, or job is divided on based on the threads model. That is what the execution is there. Building of Aneka. In building of Aneka, we have two main type of organization: infrastructure organization and then the logical organization. Let's see, have a infrastructure organization. Here you can see this is a cloud. Cloud will provide the communication all over the world, so it is represented with the globe. Okay, here what we have is Aneka repository, very important. What is Aneka repository? It will have all the resources within itself. Whenever any of the Aneka container request for, it should provide all the repository, all the required resources will be available in the Aneka repository. And then you can see each container is having nodes. Here also container having nodes, and here we have a management console. Here this management console will have the control over all the execution of the Aneka cloud. So what it is providing, the repository will be providing how the transfer will be taken, how the resource or the request has been taken care by the Aneka container, and how the node manager will be managing those job or the application using the required resources or available resources. That is what infrastructure. And here we have a logical organization. In the logical organization, mainly we have one master node, then storage node, and then we have a worker node, or we call it as slave node. Okay, what is the job of the master node? Master node is the center of all the activities. In the master node, we have a indexing. Indexing is nothing but, as we have discussed, that is scheduling container. Okay, indexing, which resources, how much cost, all will be indexed here. Scheduling, accounting, reporting, reservation and provisioning, all this thing will be handled by whom? Handled by the master node. Then what is the job of the storage? The storage node will take care of where it has to be stored depending on the instructions provided by the master node. What all the activities that the storage node will do? It will index the slave, and then storage and mandatorily where to store. What is the job of the worker node? That is, it has to execute the instruction that is provided by the master node. So what will be having here? Index, execution, allocation. Execution and allocation. Master will give some instruction, this slave or the worker node will execute those instructions. This is the logical organization of Aneka. Then private cloud deployment model. As we have told you, Aneka will support public, private and a hybrid cloud deployment. Aneka cloud deployment model, that is private cloud deployment model. A private deployment model is mostly constituted by the local physical resources. Whatever the resources available, on that only they are developing the private deployment model. Here you can see we have a master node. Master node will be taken care of resource provisioning, resource reservation and the application management and scheduling. These are all the resources available in the private network. Using these resources, master node will create and execute some of the applications. This is about the private cloud deployment model. Then we have a public cloud deployment model. Public cloud deployment model features are installed of Aneka master and worker node. It is a combination of both master and worker node. In the private, we have only the master node. Here we have a master node or worker node or the slave node. Master node job is same as that of the previous one. It will take care of application management, reporting, billing, resource reservation and resource provisioning. Slave node will execute. This is one of the example, Amazon EC2 instead, that is executed on the slave node. Then the hybrid deployment model, combination of both private as well as a public. Hybrid deployment model constitutes the most common deployment of Aneka. In many cases, there is an existing computing infrastructure which is related to a private that can be leveraged on the address and computing needs of the application. And this is what we have, a master node and then the public cloud. Here it is implementing using the private and here it is implementing using the public node. So combination of both private and then the public will provide you the hybrid deployment model. Then cloud programming and management. Cloud will be programmed and managed. Aneka primary purpose is to provide a scalable middleware product in which the executed distributed application. Aneka provides a developer with the comprehensive and extendable set of APIs. So that is what we are managing the cloud programming by two types. One is using SDKs and one is management tool. SDK means software development toolkit, the tool provided to develop any of the application. Aneka provide API. API means application program interfaces for developing the application on the top of existing program model. It will develop the application and provide the interface. Okay. And then SDK provides a support for both programming models and then the service model. You can either make your own program or you can opt for the service. So opt for the service here means you can make use of inbuilt library functions. Okay, the application model and then the service model. Let's see what we have in the application model. The application models covers the development of application and the new programming model. You are developing the new application. It consists of application class and application manager. When we are developing the application program, you should have application class and the manager to handle that application. The application class provides the user or the developer view about the distributed application for Aneka Cloud. It will provides what? A developer view, and the application manager will provide you internal components that controls the monitor the execution of Aneka. Manager, why we need manager? To have the control and monitoring of the Aneka execution or the application execution. This is all about the application model. Then what we have is a service model. In the service model, it defines the basic requirement. It defines the basic requirement of implement a service that can be hosted on the Aneka. It requires what? How to implement those application developed in the application models. The container defines the runtime environment. Who is going to provide the runtime environment for the applications? The Aneka container is going to provide the runtime environment. Then each services that are hosted in the container must be iService interface. Each service, what we call it as iService. We call this as iService, which exposes the following methods and the properties. What we have in the iServices? We have name and status of that particular execution, controlling operations such as start, stop, pause and continuous. Which state the execution is going on, whether it is in the start state, stop state, or it has been paused because of some other execution, or it has been continuing the same for longer time. These are all the methods that been used by the service model. Message handling and the means of the handle message methods. How we have to handle the message, that how these states are communicating with each other. This is a service life cycle. In the service model, this is a life cycle as we have given the states start, pause, resume and stop. We have a different states. Execution starts with where? From the start state. From the start state, it will go to the running state. Running means currently the application has been executing. That is called as running state. We say that is iService.pause or iService.running. From start state, it will go to the running state. From the running state, it will go to either pause or resuming. Okay, we are pausing that services for a while, or we are resuming that services. After pause, we are resuming that services. That is, either it can pause, from paused it will go to restart or resume again. Once the running is completed, it will be stopped and here it is terminated. This is a life cycle of service provided by the Aneka. Then after the service, we have management tools. These are all the sum of management tools that is provided by the Aneka cloud provider. That is, it will manage the infrastructure management. It will manage to the lower level. It will manage the platform management. That is what we will discuss. It will manage the middleware also. It will manage the application also. These are some of the management tools that is provided by the Aneka cloud. That's all for the day. Thank you.